young man, before we begin, I want you to remember that I had 2 sons, not just the one. My son William meant as much to us as Padraig did, but people tend to overlook this. Now, how can I help you?
I do appreciate that you have 2 sons, Mrs. Pearse, and we'll be asking you about your son Willie as soon as we deal with Padraig. Is that okay?
Fine, ask what you may.
Well, our readers want to know about the real Padraig Pearse. Not so much Padraig Pearse, the hero, the saint, the scholar, but Pearse, the man. What made him who he was and why? If I may say so, Mrs. Pearse, in practical terms, the failed leader. The failed leader. Failed because he didn't win in the end. Failed because the revolution he led failed. And it ended up in his own death. And the deaths of many others, including your son Willie's. And yet people still admire. They idolise him. They idolise him because they say he inspires them. Tell me, Mrs. Pearse, tell all our readers how and why, after all these years, does he still inspire? What was it? What is it about him?
I can tell you about my son Padraig, all that he was, and much of what he did. And then it's up to you to make up your own mind about what it is, what it really is that makes people want to be like him. They want to follow him, even to the grave. Even to the grave.
It's the same.
It was the same when he was alive. People followed him. They trusted him. It's as though his admirers want to follow on the same spiritual road as he did. And I don't mean that in a religious sense, mind you. But the manner of Padraig's death and the death of the leaders of 1916, and also my son's Willie's death. Oh, sorry, President. They're examples of an indefinable love that any man or woman could possibly have for their country. Now, although none of the women were executed, and that wasn't their fault, well, I suppose fault isn't exactly the right word. What I'm really trying to say is, when Countess Markievicz was sentenced to death, and then the death sentence commuted to life imprisonment, it was on account of her gender. She then sent word to Commander Maxwell telling him that she had fought and led without fear or regret. So therefore the consequences of her actions should be the same consequences that the male leaders were condemned to.
Certainly, Mrs. Pearse. Will Padraig have influenced Markievicz in that direction? You know, taking sort of a stand?
No, not at all. No, she was a strong woman who could make up her own mind, and that's that. Now, what was I telling you? Oh, Padraig, yes, my son Padraig. He was a good child, a happy child. We were a happy family, and thank God we were never poor, even after his father, my late husband James, had died. Padraig loved the poor, and he had a special understanding of the impoverished people of Ireland before and during the Great Hunger. And I deliberately say Great Hunger because there was no famine here. He laid the blame firmly on the British, the greed of the British, and their treatment of the Irish people. He loved all things Irish and wanted only what was good and noble for Ireland. He saw an Ireland that was free from all anglicised influences, both culturally and linguistically. And that's why he founded St Enda's School, to teach Irish children how to be Irish, how to love Ireland, if they didn't already know.
But what about himself, Mrs. Pearse? How did he see himself? Surely he didn't live and die only just for Ireland. He must have had a life away from all the politicking.
Actually, that was his life. Ireland and her people were his life. You would have to know my son Padraig to understand his complete unselfishness, his total and complete abandonment of self. Eventually, he lived and lived only for Ireland. But there was a time when he had hopes and plans for the future, with someone who loved Ireland as much as he did. Eoghan. Eoghan understood his love for Ireland, but sadly, she died trying to save a friend in the cold, cold waters of the Blasket Islands.
Shakespeare will compare thee to a summer's day, but I compare thee to an Irish rose, for thou art strong, lovely, Irish, and I shall praise thy name in Irish song.
Padraig, I know your nature so well. You couldn't say that but in verse. Methinks your shyness is getting worse, but I shall cure thee and become thy nurse. Will you give it another go? Take it easy.
By the way,
I hear you. Padraig, you give the most wonderful speeches. Write the most inspiring words put together. And yet you remain so shy in the company of others, especially women. But I'm so glad that I understand you, and the pain your shyness causes you. My poor, poor Padraig.
When did you say yes?
I told you, Padraig, when Ireland's free.
That may be sooner than you're thinking, my love.
How much sooner will it be than I'm thinking, my love?
O lovely head woman that I love, in the middle of the night I remember thee, as reality returns with a slum. Reality returns with the sun's whitening. Alas, that slender worm gnaws me to the night. Your love voice that is low and beautiful. Is it true that I heard thee in my slumbers, or is the knowledge true that tortures me? My grief, the tomb hath no sound or voice.
Sometimes only a mother can see the heartbreak in her son. Sometimes only a mother can see the broken heart in her child. And I pray to God in his mercy that he permitted Eoghan to walk by Padraig's side as he proudly marched to face his executioners.
quite a perspective there, Mrs. Pearse.
A mother's perspective. And I tell you, my sons had no shame in loving God above, and they were proud in proclaiming it.
Absolutely. What I meant was him being in love and getting hurt. Our readers will be interested in the fact that your son, Padraig, was human. What I'm trying to say is, he was like the rest of us. Am I right?
No, not entirely. Yes, he could be hurt, and yes, he loved more than just Ireland. But it was his unselfish nature that made him different. And you know, he was always late. He was even late the night Wilmer Hobson swore him into the IRB.
In the presence of God, I, Patrick Pearse, do solemnly swear that I will do my utmost to establish the independence of Ireland, and that I will bear true allegiance to the Supreme Council of the Irish Republican Brotherhood, and a government of the Irish Republic, and that I will implicitly obey the Constitution of the IRB and all my superior officers, and that I will preserve inviolably the secrets of the organisation.
His greatest to hear a death wish, Mrs. Pearse, sorry.
No, not a death wish, but he foresaw the death that was to befall him. How could he inspire and encourage others to spill their own blood if he was not prepared to lead by example? He knew he would die for Ireland. And this became apparent to me, his mother, after his oration at the graveside of O'Donovan Rossa.
How was that obvious, Mrs. Pearse? Did he talk much about it?
No, he didn't talk, no. But from that moment onwards he wore black, always black, as if in mourning for his coming death.
Rulers and defenders of the realm have need to be wary when they guard against such processes. Life springs from death, and from the graves of patriot men and women, living nations are born. The defenders of the realm think that they have worked well, in secret and in open. They think that they have pacified Ireland. They think that they have pointed half of us and intimidated the other half. They think that they have foreseen everything, provided against everything. But the fools, they left us our being dead. And while Ireland holds these graves, and Ireland unfree shall never be at peace.